Hello, everyone. Welcome to the series of Cigniti's Testing Insights. Today's talk show, we have Dominique Ravviart from NelsonHall. Dominic has been one of the eminent analysts tracking the software testing industry. Today, we have the pleasure of having some commentary from Dominic. Welcome, Dominic, to the show.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
My pleasure. It's a wonderful opportunity.
So, how are you seeing the market demand for specialist and independent software testing services overall as part of your research?
Well, clearly, what has happened in the past few years is a high adoption by clients of professional testing services. So in the past, testing services were provided by non-career testers. And what we've seen in the past 10 to 15 years in a very massive way is actually work being done by professional career testers. And this is the massive change in the industry. And this is there's still very much a lot of momentum in this, so that seems to be going on. And we go on for a number of years, at least the next 3 years or so.
Right, yeah, the word career testers resonates. I think that's going to be a very specialist field. We agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and the offerings are becoming much more specialized. So being a professional career tester in whatever fields is more and more important. It's very important to the clients as well.
So, from a market space standpoint, what are the trends that are favoring the adoption of specialist and independent testing service vendors?
Okay, I suppose two main trends, if I can explain them. The first thing is historically, this industry has moved to, or the client demand has moved to a more of process approach to development with CMM/MMI. There's been more demand on industrialized process-based application maintenance support around ITIL. And there have been methodologies around testing. But in the past 10 years, 15 years, we've seen massive adoption of process-based testing. So this is the first main trend. And the second trend is that the clients wanted to more professionalize their testing activity and move to quality as opposed to a type of pass and fail type of activity. So those two trends, processes and move to quality.
Quality, and I believe IP would play a role there as well.
Absolutely, yes. So, yeah.
And how big is the market for independent testing services? Which verticals you're actually seeing in terms of adoption and spend?
Okay, so clients spend this year around $16 billion, $17 billion in what we call independent testing services or specialized testing services. And so that's a fraction of the system integration or IT services market,
Right.
a few percentage points. But we all know that during the life cycle of a project, between 10 to 20% of all spending in system integration is actually testing. So that would suggest that the potential for testing spending could be up to $30-40 billion at some point. So that would be the upper limit. And we, as I mentioned, we are 16, 17, 18 at this point.
Right.
And in terms of our client sectors, we historically, the largest sector has been the financial services and insurance, and it's probably to go on. So that sector probably spends 40 or 45% of its spending across the world, and that's going to go on. Having said that, we still see this clients' adoption of standalone testing spreading across verticals.
Okay.
And there's a general trend for those clients to spend more and more on testing.
Right.
But then market conditions, economic factors will tell how fast they expand those testing budgets.
Wonderful. So, from a short to mid-term standpoint, for the next 2 to 5 years, what kind of testing services you are seeing in demand, especially?
Okay, I suppose two main trends: IP-based services. IP is very important to automate further the execution of testing, but also from the requirement collection and to execution, I suppose, and maintenance of the scripts. So IP-based services are the number one factor. And second of all, going to specialized services. So my favorite example is 5 years ago, when you talk about performance engineering, now you've got performance consulting, engineering, testing, and so forth. So each offering is becoming more comprehensive, and we see that happening on a high number of offerings, actually.
So, essentially, you're saying IP-led will be the future where it will also move away from the traditional linear models. That's one takeaway, if I heard it right.
Absolutely.
And the second one is being shift left by being more than from traditional performance engineering, for example, you move all the way into performance consulting. So that is transcending across the waves.
Yeah, so more comprehensive offerings, including performance, security, DevOps. That's an offering.
Right.
That's let's say it's an offering extra. So we're seeing a lot of other offerings that are becoming more comprehensive.
In terms of pure play providers like Cigniti, so what do you think independent software testing vendors like us will bring value to the market? So what is your commentary on it?
Okay, I suppose from a high level perspective, there is appetite by clients for both models, pure plays like yourself and IT service vendors with larger range of services. And we know there's no right and wrong; the two coexist. And obviously, Cigniti proves that you can do a standalone testing firm and do extremely well. So the two models coexist. Now, in the case of Cigniti, without promoting and supporting Cigniti, I think what the clients appreciate is really the flexibility because you're a human-sized type of vendor, but still large enough to invest into IPs and offerings.
And lastly, I think we have been following the research that's coming out of NelsonHall in the form of your need charts, the vendor evaluation and assessment charts. So, what's the methodology and the usage both from a buy and supply standpoint? So, what's your take on that?
Okay. Well, essentially, we're assessing the service offering, IPs, delivery capabilities of each vendor on 40 to 60 parameters, and then we assess. And then we give a weighting to each parameter. So, say in testing, Indian delivery is more important than onshore delivery, so we give a higher weighting to Indian delivery. And why do we do this? We do this, first of all, to assess a vendor according in a systematic manner, but we also try to make it customized by the client. So, say it's a client that has a high emphasis again on Indian offshoring, then we can increase the weighting and then therefore position the right vendors. So, non-shown vendors wouldn't have this place then on the chart. The opposite, if we've got a vendor that wants Ukraine or Russia-based delivery, we can customize. So this is meant to be a fairly pragmatic tool that provide a bit an overview of the relevant people, the relevant organization with the relevant offerings and IPs.
Right. So lastly, so is this going to be an annual research report that is going to come from NelsonHall? Is the need charts? It will be an annual exercise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty much on an annual basis, and Cigniti will be featured in the next meet. Absolutely.
Thank you so very much, Dominic. On behalf of the entire testing community, we take pride in the fact that NelsonHall's research and insights provide a very pragmatic view of the market conditions, and that gives us a substantial direction in terms of planning and execution. Thanks so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. Have a good day. Thank you.